Hello, all. So it's gonna be our fifth episode, and I'm here with three goals today. And yeah, so 8, 9, 10 SDGs we're gonna see. So let's jump into the video now. And yes, eighth goal is nothing but decent work and economic growth. Okay, so this means promoting sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, which full and productive employment and also decent work for everybody. Okay, so what does this mean? It means promoting sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth, full and productive employment, decent work for everybody. These three things. Okay, so before the pandemic hit in 2020, there was an average growth of the economy, but it was slow. Okay, and also the COVID-19 pandemic has caused the world's worst global economic recession since the Great Depression, and massive damage to working time and income. Yes, and also in 2020 there was like about 8.8% of global working hours were lost, and it was equivalent to 255 million full-time jobs, which is approximately 4 times greater than the loss during the global financial crisis that happened in 2009. So the young workers and women were particularly hard hit by the crisis in the labor market. Also, the global economy is slowly recovering, although it may remain below pre-pandemic trends for a prolonged period. Yes, so prior to the onset of the pandemic, informal employment represented 60.2% of global employment, which means 2 billion people worldwide worked in the informal economy in jobs that are characterized by a lack of basic protection, which includes social protection coverage also. So from that, more than 3/4 of them, that is 1.6 billion people, 6 billion informal economy workers, were significantly impacted by the pandemic related lockdown measures, or you can say they are in the hardest hit sectors. So yes, next we have is the ninth goal, that is industry, innovation, and infrastructure. So this is to build resilient infrastructure, promote inclusive and sustainable industrialization, and foster innovation. Okay, the year before this COVID-19 was actually triggered by the biggest economic crisis in decades, and production value added has been the slowest year-on-year growth rate since 2012, primarily due to tariff and trade tensions between the most dominant economies. Yes, so the government, the COVID-19 epidemic has severely affected the manufacturing and transportation industries, resulting in job losses and declining incomes for workers in these sectors. So yeah, the eruption of COVID-19 affected production by disrupting global value chains and restricting the movement of people and goods, also resulting in a significant drop of 8.4% in 2020, which is 16.5% in 2019 to 15.9% in 2020. Yes, so yeah, small scale industries are severely affected by the epidemic, and many face existential challenges, and the rollout of mobile broadband networks has been slowing down in 2020. Globally, almost 85% of the population was covered by a 4G network at the end of 2020. So between 2015 and 2020, this 4G network coverage increased twofold globally. So however, annual growth has been slowing down gradually since 2017, and the coverage in 2020 was only 1.3% points higher than in 2019. So also what happened was the small scale industries were severely affected by this epidemic, and they were also facing existential challenges. This COVID-19 crisis offers opportunities to promote industrialization and bring new technologies to developing countries. Yes, so that is one thing. And also, next we have 10th goal, that is reduced inequalities. So this is not gender equality. This is something between or you can tell it as reducing the inequality within and among countries. So before the pandemic hit, everywhere we hear this pandemic. So before the pandemic hit, modest gains had been made in reducing inequality in some areas. For example, you can say reducing income inequality in some countries, continuing preferential trade status to lower income countries, and reducing transaction costs of remittances. And also, however, this inequality persists in its various forms, whether income, wealth, opportunities, or any other dimension. Yes, so the pandemic is now exacerbating existing inequalities within and among countries, and hitting the most vulnerable people and the poorest countries hardest. And it is projected to push back the poorest countries a full 10 years on their SDG progress. That's actually, I couldn't tell you. So globally, refugees were at the highest absolute number on record in 2020. Even amidst strict COVID-19 mobility restrictions across the globe, thousands of migrants died along the migratory journey. The World Economic Outlook October 2020 estimates that COVID-19 increases the average Gini index for emerging market and developing economies by more than 6%, with an even larger impact for low-income countries. Also, data from 44 countries and territories from 2014 to 2020 show that almost 1 in 5 people reported having personally experienced discrimination on at least one of the grounds prohibited under international human rights law. So, moreover, women are more likely to be victims of this discrimination than men. So, many of those groups are already experiencing higher discrimination, have been further negatively impacted by COVID-19 regarding their health and socio-economic situations. So this is the current status of these points, and I think I've provided many new points, and I've updated you guys. So stay tuned for the next episode, where we would go through 11th, 12th, and if time permits, I'll tell you guys about 13th also. So stay tuned, subscribe, like and share if you have not done yet. And yes, let's get updated. So bye bye.